Thanks, Honorable Chairperson. I think from the beginning, I must assume that the Honorable Minister would have loved to have been here to give support to IPID and his Executive Director. I'm sure he's held up with something else. We have not yet sent the info note on the situation with the acting National Commissioner. I think I'd stop just there for the moment on that issue. It is difficult to envisage that the Minister will take our recommendations seriously. In fact, at the moment, how things are is that when we send our monthly recommendations, they get sent back to us from the Minister. One has also to understand that since the investigation became public, Acting National Commissioner has received a bravery award. The Acting National Commissioner has received awards together with the Minister from churches. The Minister was here with the Acting National Commissioner 2 weeks ago. And our normal recommendations are returned. It gives you a context of what is possible and what is not possible. But we will continue to do the right thing. We are continuing to try to see the Minister, to brief the Minister on a range of issues and to raise a range of issues with him. But I think I must deal with the main issue that Honorable Groenewald raised. Paul O'Sullivan is the complainant in this case. Whistleblowers, including police officers, went to him to make statements which were taken at a police station. He has knowledge of the offences. He raised the complaint whilst the rest of us were on suspension with the acting Executive Director Khamanyani in March of 2016. Mr. Khamanyani took it upon himself to go and discuss the issue with General Patlani. General Patlani denied here before the House and in public that he was aware of an investigation. This is patently false. We have documentary proof that not only was he informed about it, but General Patlani's own signatures in a document asking his PA in response to Khamanyani wanting to discuss this case with him, an instruction to his PA to schedule the meeting. And that's as early as June 2016. So the fact that he alleges he didn't know that there's an investigation against him is untrue. The second issue relating to O'Sullivan, unfortunately for General Patlani, we have recordings of every interview and transcripts. At no stage did any of the two civilians who were assisting with the investigation falsely present themselves as IPID investigators or as police officers. The person leading the investigation, Mandla Mahlangu, is an experienced IPID investigator. His investigations have resulted in long years for criminal, corrupt and murderous police officers, including life sentences. I have the utmost respect and integrity for him and his ability. Police officers know him, he does his job. So it's untrue that we've employed O'Sullivan and or his company, that he is an IPID investigator, because he is not. On these arrests, which happen at very strange occasions, one was a Friday night, a lawyer was arrested, tied with cable ties, driven around for hours, and then taken to a police station, not allowed to contact family or lawyers. And then O'Sullivan is arrested in contravention of a standing court order. Okay? So how did this all come about? Well, when the investigation started against Patlane falsely claimed that there was a security breach of his house. And even if there was a security breach or he felt threatened by being investigated, he should have called in protection services. He did no such thing. Rather, he called in a unit from Northwest, a unit known to be involved in torture and death of suspects. In fact, the case Mr. Sissoko is referring to, some of the people who are in this unit, headed by Mabula, are suspects in the death of a suspect in Macau, where a suspect was suffocated and tortured to death. It's the same unit that in a Klerksdorp matter, members of the same unit, which were chosen specifically by General Patlane to disrupt our investigation, were involved in a torture of suspects, a number of suspects, 3 dockets in Klerksdorp. Why would General Patlane choose such a unit to deal with this matter? Why, if they needed O'Sullivan to go before court, didn't they summons him to court and charge him specifically? Why didn't they take a statement from IPID or the IPID investigator of what transpired at those interviews? Those basic questions. Now, as I've said with other cases, there isn't a snowball in hell's chance that those claims of falsely impersonating IPID officers would ever stand up in court, because it simply did not happen. Now, I'm not sure why. Maybe honorable members can say, why is it easy to target O'Sullivan? The issue here is Patlane's corrupt relationship. It's not who assists us with our investigation. Let's be clear on that. No amount of obfuscation will change the facts that we have before us. And we have the facts. I don't like doing this, but we have the facts and the figures, which is actually frightening that this can carry out with impunity, with political support. Just on the question of political support, I enjoy complete political support on this matter, where it matters. So I think that's as far as I would go. I'll ask Mr. Sissoko to fill in gaps that I've left out.
Thank you, Edie. Mr. Sissoko.
Thank you, Chairperson and honorable members. I think the issue of Mr. Paul O'Sullivan's involvement in our investigation is clarified. And it is not peculiar only to IPID, even the police do that. When you have a complainant that has information regarding a crime, there is nothing in law that bar you from using your complainant to obtain that information and assisting you in getting any information required to advance your investigation. Now, the fact of the matter is, any information that comes from whichever quarter on our investigation, we take that information. We will obviously validate that information. So if it is alleged that a witness has made a statement, we do not take a statement on a face value. There has to be a consultation with the witness, with the statement, taken through the statement, to ascertain if the witness is aware of the statement and the contents thereof, if he agrees to that. If the statement is confirmed, if it's commissioned, our investigator will depose his own statement to confirm that. If the statement is not commissioned, our investigator will then commission the statement by ensuring that the witness take the necessary oath for that statement. So that is how any investigation will proceed, where there is such a situation. The fact of the matter is, Paul O'Sullivan is not contracted to IPID, either as a service provider or as an investigator for IPID. That is completely not true. Do we get information For investigative purposes from Paul O'Sullivan, yes, we definitely do. Do we follow up on that information? Yes, we do. And more often than never, the information checks out. You cannot ignore that. We are not saying General Phahlane is guilty of an offense. It's not our role. Our role is to investigate and present evidence. What we are saying is that what we have, based on what the investigations we've done so far, relating to the vehicles, the house, everything, it just does not add up. It just does not add up. And therefore, it requires us to investigate that. Once we've done with our investigation, we'll present that to the competent authority who will make a decision whether General Phahlane should be prosecuted or not. It's not for us to decide that. But we are saying, without any contradiction, that what we have so far suggests that there is some wrongdoing, or at least needs some explanation. Our investigators went to General Phahlane and had an interview with him. General Phahlane did not submit a statement. And when asked questions, he said he would want us to give him written questions. We said we'll oblige and do that. There was an issue of the radio that was in the media. He said he has provided proof. He did not provide proof to IPID. He provided IPID with an email that says he has instructed his bankers to pay for the radios. That, for investigative purposes, cannot be regarded as proof. We still have to get bank statements to prove that, yes, there was such a transaction that went through his accounts and so forth. We had evidence that says he has received these equipments from a client of the radio company, which is, the client was Criminalistic, which is a service provider to the SAPS. And the person who was responsible for the payment, or who was listed at least as a reference for the payment, was a member of that company. Invariably, in terms of investigation, that's why we had to get a search warrant to confirm that these things were in fact in his house. We were not vindictive. We never said we would want to remove these items from his house. All of what we did was to say we want to confirm these items are at his property, and that's what we did. And the search warrant was lawfully obtained. As members will be aware that there is a current litigation on this matter. So we won't talk much on it because it still has to be ventilated in our courts. So this is the reality of our investigation. Now, there's a question, when are we going to complete the investigation? We would want to complete the investigation like yesterday. The reality of our investigation is that as we investigate, we get information from different quarters, police officers, members of the public, that come with information to us to allege further things that we still have to look at. Corruption, by its nature, is a complex investigation. So part of what we must do is get experts to do a forensic auditing analysis of the volume of information we have so that they can make all the linkages that needs to be made for prosecution purposes. So we cannot give the committee an answer that we will complete the investigation tomorrow. We are also guided by the National Prosecuting Authority on this investigation. So we are sure that whatever we're doing compliant to our laws. Thank you, Chair.